If you are planning to rely on Social Security, you are being lied to. In exactly 10 years, the trust fund hits zero, triggering an automatic 20% pay cut for over 70 million Americans. The U.S. government is basically a guy going through a $38 trillion midlife crisis, blowing money he doesn't have, and your retirement is paying the bill. Today, I'm exposing the broken math they don't want you to see, and why the system is officially collapsing. To really get what's going on, you have to start with this number, 38 trillion. That's the national debt right now. It's a number so big it almost feels fake, but it's the reality that's framing this entire conversation. Nearly 70% of the entire federal budget is already spoken for. It's locked into these huge programs, Social Security, Medicare, defense, and just paying the interest on the money we've already borrowed. Everything else that the government does is just fighting for the scraps. So whenever this whole debt thing comes up, you always hear it, right? Somebody yells, "Just cut foreign aid." It sounds so simple and it feels like an easy win. But here's the thing, that argument completely falls apart the second you look at the actual numbers. The amount we spend on Social Security every year absolutely dwarfs what we spend on foreign aid. We're talking about a program that's around 1% of the budget. It's not even in the same ballpark. If we cut every single penny of foreign aid, took it all the way to zero, do you know how long that would pay for Social Security benefits? Just 19 days. And then on day 20, we'd be right back where we started, borrowing to make up the difference. Focusing on these tiny little cuts while the massive drivers of spending keep growing is just a distraction. It's not a solution. Okay, so if the small cuts won't fix it, what is the real problem? Well, it's not really about politics or waste. At its very core, Social Security is facing a simple and totally unavoidable math problem. Now, this might sound a little extreme, but the structure of Social Security has been compared to a Ponzi scheme. And before you react, just think about the definition. It's a system where the money from new people coming in is used to pay the people who are already in the system. And that works perfectly, right up until the moment that cycle breaks. And guess what? That cycle is breaking right now. For decades, everything was fine. You had a huge number of workers paying into the system for a pretty small number of retirees. But that's not our reality anymore. The demographics have completely flipped. We now have way fewer workers supporting a massive and growing wave of retirees. The math just doesn't work. And this isn't some far-off hypothetical issue. This is the official projection from the government itself. The Social Security Trust Fund, the big savings account that's supposed to cover any shortfalls, is on track to be totally empty by 2034. We literally have a deadline. So if we accept that this is a math problem, then we have to look at the mathematical solutions. And let me tell you, they're not popular. They're ugly. But they're really the only options left on the table. Here are the two most talked about fixes. First, you could lift the payroll tax cap. Right now, if you make $1 million a year, you stop paying Social Security taxes after the first $170,000. If you get rid of that cap, the wealthiest Americans would pay into the system on all their income, which would bring in a ton of money. The second idea is to adjust benefits for retirees who are already really wealthy. That's called means testing. Why should a system designed as a safety net be sending monthly checks to billionaires who obviously don't need them? It's a provocative thought, but it's central to this whole debate. So we've looked at the problem, and we've looked at a couple of the tough choices to fix it. But what about the path we're on right now? What happens if Congress just keeps kicking the can down the road and we do absolutely nothing? This is the key takeaway. When that trust fund runs out of money in 2034, the law is crystal clear. The government can only legally pay out what it takes in from taxes that year. That means an automatic, across-the-board benefit cut of around 20% for every single person. This isn't a maybe. It's not a political threat. It is the baked-in mathematical result of doing nothing. And that's where all of this leaves us. For 70 million seniors and for everyone under 50 who's paying into a system they might never fully get back from, that clock is ticking and it's getting louder every year. The math is clear. The deadline is set. So the final question is pretty simple. Is doing nothing really an option anymore?